Hi there. Thanks for taking the time to check out Posicovidity Stories, featuring individuals and organizations bringing solutions to the broader community during COVID-19 and beyond.
I'm Crystal Lee. I'm a San Francisco-based TV producer and lifestyle host. I'm the in-arena host for the Golden State Warriors, so a big sports fan. Very happy to be the guest interviewer today on Posicovidity.
Hi, I'm Buddy Teaster. I'm the CEO at Soles4Souls. We are a not-for-profit social enterprise that collects and distributes new and used shoes and clothes all around the world as a way to create opportunity for people to get out of poverty for the long term.
Can you give us a summary of how you accomplished your mission?
Sure. So I've used the word a couple of times, but I really do think Soles4Souls is about using shoes and clothes to create opportunity. So we do that a couple of ways. This year, well, who knows what it would have been, but we were on track to collect about 5 million pairs of shoes. And those are both new and used. So about 2/3 come from the public. People like us will go into our closets and say, this doesn't fit, I don't want to wear it, wrong color, whatever. They donate one at a time, or they might do a shoe drive in their community. We have some corporate partnerships that have allowed people to drop off shoes, which makes it convenient. So that's really important to us. We also work with brands and retailers with their excess inventory and their seconds. So things that they can't use in their sort of normal way of doing business, they'll donate to us and we can put to use. And so those two streams come in, and then we do two things with those shoes. We give some away to people in need. We do that in the US and all around the world, and that's always new product. All the used product and new, when we have permission, we put into what we call micro enterprise. They can resell that in their local markets and earn a living, create jobs for other people, but generate an income so they can take care of themselves and their family. And what we find is lots of times women, that's probably 95% of who we work with, they are already doing something like this, but because they're so far down the supply chain, they don't have any power, right? So they can't negotiate a good price. They don't get the pick of anything. So by the time it gets to them, it's the worst combination of high price and low quality. Our model, where we can, is we take the middleman out and it goes right from your closet to her. And so she's got high quality stuff at a low price. That's where being a not-for-profit helps. We're not trying to maximize it. But by making you a customer, she gets to come back to the table and say, price is wrong, mix is wrong, I want different sizes. And she has power and an equality in that relationship that is phenomenal.
Why shoes?
What continues to surprise me is how emotionally connected people are to their shoes, right? So it's not just a tool, right? It's not just some utilitarian thing, but people have stories around their shoes that they tell themselves, that they tell other people. This is a few years ago. I was here by myself at the office, and the doorbell rang, and I went out to the front, and there was an older woman here who said, "Hey, I'd like to drop some shoes off." I said, "Great, I'll come around to the side of the building and I'll meet you there." So around the side, opened the big roll-up door, and she was taking shoes out of her car, and she just started crying. She said, "My husband died a few months ago, and so I want to give these shoes to somebody else." But what that marked for her was really powerful.
I always heard that anything that separates your body from the floor is something that you should not underestimate. Your mattress,
Excellent.
car, and your shoes. And you're
shoes.
absolutely right. Like what you end up putting on your feet in the morning might seem trivial, but it's a very emotional, it's a very personal thing. And I definitely take it for granted growing up in a developed world.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool what you're doing. Can you tell me a bit about some of the challenges you may have been facing recently, either before COVID or after COVID, and how you've been able to rechart your course, just given how the world has changed?
With COVID-19 and the pandemic, I mean, the thing that we've seen is, a lot of the people that we work with are really close to the edge anyway. Take Honduras, for example. The lockdown there is really severe. Military, like it's no fooling around. Fines, jail term, guys with guns saying you have to stay home. Well, like a lot of the informal economy, if a lot of these folks can't get out every day to sell or work, there's no cushion. So we've already heard from some of our partners, the ones they serve, that like after 4 or 5 days, people are going hungry. They're going out and they're hunting in the woods for meat. We're trying to figure out how we can help them, but with everything locked down, it is really hard. So I think the the effect in the developing world, we're not talking about it a lot. Like, we're very focused on what's going on here in the US right now, or Western Europe or China. But in those markets where life is already kind of on a knife's edge most of the time, these people are really screwed. And until the markets can open back up safely, it's going to be really hard for them to just put food on the table.
If you could be speaking to any audience right now, whether it's corporate partners, whether it's folks who donate, right, your donors, who would you want to speak to and what would you ask for?
Wow, that is a fantastic question for which I do not have a ready answer. Right now, I think it's so important to really stay in touch with our corporate partners, because they are being flattened, right? I mean, the people that we work with who have hundreds of stores and tens of thousands of employees it's come to a halt, right? And so to be able to talk to them about how can we help, like, we know you have a lot of inventory. Is there a way that we can help you deal with that somehow that's more positive than just writing it off or putting in the trash or whatever? So that's a part of it. I think the most important thing, though, is that we can have a conversation with those partners about what are we going through. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like, there's a woman on our board from a big multi-store retailer, and they've laid off 15,000 people. She's one of just a handful left running a giant business. So I talked with her the other day, and I think just for her, the chance to think about something like that wasn't my thing is on fire, but like, here's how I can have an impact in addition to worrying about how to get jobs and business going again. I think I just want to talk to them. I just want to say, we're going to figure this out eventually. It is not important that you donate right now. It is not important that I worry about what's happening to Soles4Souls. If we're really partners, let's talk about the relationship that we're in, not who's doing it. It's not transactional.
How do you encourage someone to have the level of empathy that you do? Because maybe not you personally, but that someone who kind of works in the type of work that you do. I am so preoccupied with my own day-to-day schedule that I don't really reserve that much empathy for a woman in Haiti that I might not ever meet. So how do you connect the average Western consumer to the person who most greatly benefits from Soles4Souls?
Crystal, it's a great question. It is hard right now. When we know that people are worried about their own livelihoods and what's happening to their families and who's sick in their lives. I mean, there are things that we're not, and I'm okay that we're third, fourth, 10th on the list, right? They're legitimate concerns. But what I'm finding in a lot of these conversations, Crystal, is if it starts with, how are you? What can I do to help you? Can I listen to your story? That is reciprocated, right? If there's anything right now that probably we need more than anything else, is this reciprocity. I don't think it's my job to convince anybody right now that the woman in Haiti you need to be empathetic with. You've got your own circle. But if we can talk through it a little bit more and you can be heard, I believe that will land at the right moment. People continue to blow me away at how much they do want to help right now. And whether that is, let's work with Crocs to get shoes to nurses in New York, or how can we get a container into Haiti so they can start to sell it and those women can start to earn money to feed their families again. In some ways, once we say, how can we help, there are lots of doors to walk through. And we just have to let people know that can happen now or when they're ready.
Now, taking a couple steps back, I must say, Buddy, you are incredibly well-spoken. I love what you're doing with Soles4Souls. But a young person who's looking at your career and looking at the person you are now might be wondering what you were like in college or what you had to go through in your 20s to get to where you are. Can you give us a brief summary of your path and how you ended up being, the president and CEO that you are now?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'll say is there was no plan, right? So there was never this I want to end up here. That part's really clear to me. But so when I went to college, I was the first one on either side of my family to go to college. And so it was a big deal. And I got there, I thought I was going to be an economics and business major. And not very long into it, I decided I was going to be a world religion major. which totally freaked my father out. Like, what are you doing? You're the first one to go to college and you're throwing it away. But I still, I think at that moment it crystallized for me, following what intrigues you and what generates passion. I sort of hate that kind of cliche phrase, but like, I want to learn. I thought I came here to get an education, not to get a job, right? So that was the fight with my father. We reconciled, but at that moment it was hard. So then I went into theater after college for a couple of years, and then I went and got my MBA in arts administration because I thought I wanted to work in the theater, and I really liked the business part. So that probably was the key moment that for me, I can realize I could combine those two things. Like, it wasn't, you have to only be not-for-profit or for-profit. There's a way to meld those two. So then I worked for the Young Presidents Organization for 3 different times over 15 years. So I was in a not-for-profit setting, but I learned a lot from business people all over the world. And that global exposure was just unbelievable. Like, it was a second MBA for sure. But I sort of crisscrossed. I worked at YPO for a while. I did some startup stuff, went back to YPO, did some startup stuff, went back to YPO. And I think just kind of how those two threads have woven together over the course of my career have come together perfectly here at Soles4Souls, because there is this really strong, this is a business, we make money, but we are doing it for a higher purpose that we can really articulate and measure. To me, is just the perfect combination of those two.
It sounds deceivingly simple, right? Follow your passion, do what you like. But I actually have seen a lot of careers that have shaped out like yours, which is you can't connect the dots forwards, but you can backwards. But the one continual thread is that you've always done something that just felt right, that you just, at the end of the day, wanted to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Buddy, I want to thank you so much for being on Posicovidity. You are an incredible inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing. Buddy Teaster, everybody, you can find him at Soles4Souls, and it's SOLES, number 4, SOULS. Thanks for being with us on Posicovidity.
That was my pleasure. Thank you.